What's going on, everybody? This is Sheets from the Hamptons, going over the MLB slate for this evening. I'm going to share my screen in a second, which want you to get a look at the view from behind, I guess. Hopefully, we get a little bit of peace, a little, good vibes to lead to some good results in MLB. Okay, first of all, what is this? I think I am connected twice here. Let's move that one. All right, so we should be good. Hey, what's up, MJ? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen. And that's going to probably just confirm that you hear me. You out there? Just looking at you. Deep Hope, hopefully you can hear me. Just someone say, I can hear you. Choppy. Yeah. I'm going to bring this inside. Just probably a little bit better. Hold on a minute. Well, that may be better. Perhaps we'll get a better connection here. We'll see. You know Matt's out by the pool, right? Yeah, they're here. No, I'm already doing something. Okay. 1 second, guys. A little choppy, but fine. Hopefully this is going to be a little better. Okay, I would presume this is better. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with the SaberSim thing and kind of try to talk through this a little bit. All right, so the main points of the slate are the best pitching you have are going to be Rodon and Sale. Like these are the guys that kind of stand out as the best plays. And then the other decision you really want to make is whether you want to dip down to those 4K guys. That being mostly Montero for Detroit. I mean, he rates to be the best of them all, so you have Rodon and Sale, clearly the two best plays, and then you have the choice of playing Montero or something like that. And the other kind of what I think is going to be a popular, value play is going to be the Angels guy, the Daniel. So one way to look at it is that, playing those guys means you're probably going to have to get different as far as pitching goes. And if you play anything other than those guys, you don't have to do anything, pretty much. Okay. So I actually ran some builds, with just my projections or whatever, and without making any changes, you see it kind of reflected here. You have 60% Sale, 55% Rodon, and then 30% Montero. And then the 20% Wheelers is kind of, I guess, the first natural pivot. I am surprised I'm not getting as much of the Davis Daniel, only 5%, which is sort of interesting. So if you're going to hand build, you could play both Sale and Rodon, but then try to get a little bit different in the hitting. Like to that point, in the hitting, I mean, again, the obvious spots I imagine are something like Milwaukee, like the Milwaukee game. But the team that shows up for me quite a bit here are the Angels of all things. Angels, Tampa, Houston, for those, and Toronto. For those of you that watched the earlier stream, you saw I was getting all kinds of Houston. So they are not as popular with me as they were, but they're still, you know, they're still poking their heads in there. Couple of teams that I'm not getting any of, which are worth mentioning, are the Dodgers, but they're just so expensive. What makes them inexpensive are guys that are probably going to get pinch hit for. So that's a tough spot to get to. The other main things I want to talk about are kind of the natural pivot stack. So like Seattle, for example, like Seattle is playing Dean Kremer, who for whatever reason was getting some ownership, and he's coming off the DL, and I think Seattle would seem to be a good contrarian stack. And then, like, do you want to really get nasty and play stuff like Cincinnati against a popular Carlos Rodon, or maybe what's his name, San Francisco against obviously a very popular Chris Sale, and to what extent do you want to play them? So I want to experiment with a couple of different ways to do that. Let me just check and make sure there are no questions over here. Off-topic question: we're doing a late swap to save opponent slots? Yes, they do. Yes, that is due. That is very important. Oh, you can't see the screen share. Okay, let's. You can't see the screen share. Let's stop screen sharing, and then let's share it again. How about that? Entire screen. Okay, so you should be able to see this. Oh, I didn't click this. Okay, my bad. So now you probably should see that thing where one is like right over the other. So I have to replace that with something else. So I'm going to replace it with the SaberSim thing again, and you should be able to see at least the SaberSim thing. I'm sorry about that, guys. But to answer your question about the Sims, yeah, if you do late swaps, it does take into account actual ownership as of whenever you're running it, which makes it very important to do that once you have actual data accounted for. Is this all good? Okay. Let me just, also, when you're putting our own twists on SaberSim, do you look at lineup ranking as much, or going more off manual adjustments? Whereas B Cruise and stuff. All right, all right. Someone's gonna have to handle these questions like that. So I'm just gonna go through this. Okay. FanDuel. Let's look at this one first. Actually, let's stick with DraftKings. So when we just ran our regular SaberSim builds, this is what we'll be getting. Like Angels, Milwaukee, Tampa, Houston, relatively normal type stuff, and the pitcher's sort of chalky. So what happens if you wanted to kind of screw around and you wanted to run contest sims? So the first thing you have to consider is what field lineup you want to assign to compare yourself to. So for to keep things safe, let's just use the flagship MME setting that SaberSim recommends. I shouldn't say recommends, that they feel is going to be what the field does. And it's based on their ownership to some degree. We are going to make the flagship single entry build for what's exclusively a single entry tournament. Bat flip, we definitely are going to make the flagship MME. The two things I want to change: I want to make the walk-off home run high stakes MME, and I still think ball 4 will keep as the high stakes 20 max. Okay, so we're going to run these, and we're going to see kind of what these look like. And I hope this is not, I won't say confusing, but not what people want to hear. But a lot of the discussion of sims and what's best and whatever is very fluid. There's look, there are things in poker that I could have taught you that I know were right, and there are things in DFS I could teach that I know were right. But the whole sim thing, nobody really knows what's right. We're all trying to kind of figure it out kind of along the way, and that's sort of what makes it fun. Like, I know that there is value in comparing your lineups to a field of lineups, but the question of what field to compare it to is a very, very important question. And I think you start with the, with what SaberSim says that they have back tested. So that's what I'm kind of doing right here. So to show you kind of just the difference, when you apply the contest sims to, let's just say, the walk-off home run, I imagine you'll get something totally different. Yeah, so here you're going to be getting still chalky pitching, but you're going to get a lot more Tampa, and then even Texas. All right, which is actually not bad. Okay. So when I see something like this, and the lineup itself doesn't particularly annoy me, I'm kind of inclined to just kind of go with it, because it at least attempted to simulate a field, you know. Now let's take a look at this next one, this ball 4, risk-adjusted ROI. Again, I will sort the same way, and you're probably going to get something different, and you probably wouldn't know why, right? Because we did use different settings. Remember, for the ball 4, as opposed to the walk-off home run. Now we get down to single entry. We'll see what that looks like. And the single entry is actually very similar, if not the exact same, as that 20 max, which is interesting. Now, what's important to remember is that this is not what's going to go in at the end of the day. We're going to get to that in a second. But let's do the bat flip, risk-adjusted ROI. And you see they have min uniques 3, which is pretty good. Now, here is where you'll notice, I'm checking my stack exposures, make sure that they're mostly 5-mans. Yep. You'll see in here, now you're getting like a ton of San Francisco as kind of like straight leverage off of Sale. And, you can decide whether that's something you want to do or not, but that's what you get when you really take to heart what a sim is trying to accomplish. It's trying to predict what the field is going to do, and then, suggest how you're supposed to play with that information. So let's so we already saved those to the contest. So let's save those for now. Let me just go some questions here again. Like Cincy Stack, I agree. Kevin, not really a fan of Rodon tonight. So here's some good questions, right? So just wonder if I should flat out trust SaberSim ownership for the field lineups. No, that's the thing. That's where you start. But what are your alternatives, right? So here's the problem, and then we'll FanDuel. Like Cincy Stack, I have no problem with that, and Rodon does in fact suck. But that's a very, very important question. What do you do if you want to create a field and you don't completely trust the SaberSim ownership projections? Like, we do a really good job of compiling just like incredible ownership projections, which quite honestly, I would put up against SaberSims all day long. And mine are better. They just are, as are Goldies. So what do you do with that? Like how do you benefit from that? The problem here is that SaberSim does not allow you to just use your ownership projections in place of their own with the contest sims for the purpose of building fields. Now, there are other sim products that purport to do that, but the rest of the functionality of those sim products are so primitive, relative to SaberSim, that it's not worth that trade-off. But so what do you do if you have good ownership projections and you want to replace SaberSims with your own? The best thing that you can do, not the best thing, but at least one thing you can do, and I don't know the best thing, is to build a set of lineups that reflect your ownership projections. Okay. So like, for example, that's a good question, right? So I built, for example, 5,000 lineups in this build 2. Okay. So let's take a look at what that looks like the whole thing, not just the top 50 lineups. Let's look at exposure, not for the 50, but for the whole pool. And let's just see if this kind of represents, at least to some degree, what the field is going to do. Now, as you could look through this, you can nitpick a little bit. Like you could say, yeah, maybe Sale's going to be a little bit higher. Yeah, that could be. So this might not be, these do not reflect my actual ownership projections. So here my pool said 30%, but my ownership projection was 41. Okay. So this is not exactly, correct, but it could be better than just trusting the SaberSim ownership. It could be. So you just have to kind of check, like in team stacks, for example, when I look at the team stacks for the pool, 25% Milwaukee, 20% Houston Angels, very little Colorado in this set. Like I'm only seeing 7% exposure to Colorado. And I'd have to think it'd probably be a little bit higher than that, but maybe not that much higher. And so these are kind of the trade-offs. Like, what is a better field to use as your sim? Is it better to use the whatchamacallit, the field lineups? Like for example, you look at contests, and you can even look field lineups, like what it's going, what these flagship, what these things can do. So if you want to use the SaberSim lineups, now this is the flagship field. Okay, so in the field, let's take a look and see what the overall exposure is in that. So you're looking at this, and in the SaberSim field, you do see that 40% Chris Sale, which actually does represent the projected ownership better than my own 5,000. Okay, and then when you look at team stacks, 36% Milwaukee, and that might be a little high. But aside from that, everything else seems sort of reasonable. Maybe Houston's a little low. So you have to pick, which one do you like, and you could, and again, that I don't even know people knew that you could do this. You can go in and see what these stock SaberSim projections or these field projections kind of look like, so you can decide which thing that you want to do. So I am actually, just to prove that, to do that, let's see what my bill would look like if instead of doing, the customized, whatchamacallit, SaberSim builds, I mean, the stock SaberSim builds, which you did before, let's take a look and see, oops, what using this custom, this build 2 thing would look like, and what kind of results it would put out. And again, we're not doing this to get the results that we want. And I'm starting to talk about this a lot. Like, if you use these tools to get what you wanted in the first place, I don't know how valuable that is. But what I am doing is at least is working these tools a little bit to see, what the impact of these things are. And I think that that's important for the learning process. So we're building these lineups now and comparing them not to the SaberSim fields, but to to this build 2 field, whatever, to our 5,000 lineups. So let's just take a look and see. So if we did that, and we then went to the walk-off home run, then it'd be a totally different story. You'd be getting these Dodgers, A's, Twins. I'd probably want to adjust the stack exposure to not get any of those, those BS type stacks. Okay. But the point is, you could see that it's a totally different result. And then when you get into, let's say the 20 max, the ball 4, then you're still getting these Texas things that made some sense. One thing that is not changing, no matter what settings you use, as we look at a single entry, is that you're really not getting any of anybody but these top pitchers, and more to the point, you're not getting all too much, I guess, of those ultra cheapos. Actually, you are. You're getting some Montero over there, pitching wise. Let's see. let's see, what would I be getting as far as the pitching here? Like 90% sale. I mean, wow. I mean, not that I'm not saying that it's necessarily terrible, but you just see when you put the different settings in, kind of what that does to you or for you, depending on your outlook. So let's take a look at FanDuel. And I think we did the same thing, is we built it just kind of regularly, and you'll see that without even doing the sims, we would be getting, let's see, 75% Milwaukee, and then Toronto, Houston, a whole bunch of this other dreck. But then pitching wise, you would get, I presume, oh, more Rodon. Oh, not much sale. You get this Fiesta guy, the Festa, which is very interesting. But overall, 57% Rodon, 22% Festa. That's very, very interesting. Let's do the Sims again for FanDuel. And again, I'm playing the squeeze, the monster, and the championship. Let's use their settings. So flagship MME for squeeze, and then we'll do high stakes MME for monster, and then for this one, let's use high stakes MME as well for the qualifier, and we'll run the sims, and again, we could see what this field is supposed to look like. So if you get into, say, contests and then field lineups, flagship MME, for example, it looks as though how much sale? I mean, only 23% sale. And then as far as team stacks go, 44% Milwaukee. So this actually looks pretty reasonable to use the whatchamacallit, to use the stock SaberSim builds. SaberSim fields. So when you look at it, let's look at the squeeze first, and we're using Min Uniques 3. And look at this; they really want you to fade sale in this construct. Like, look at all the giants that you'd be getting here. You'd be getting 87% giants. So you could do that, or you could not do that. I personally don't feel like doing that, so I'm going to go for a different. So what I'm going to do is I am then going to, again, instead of going flagship MME, we'll do build 2. Same thing. And again, it's going to be the same story. We'll go build 2. And I'm sort of cheating, right? Because I'm trying to use the system and I'm trying to use the sims in an intelligent way, but then I'm dismissing it because it's not confirming my biases. So again, it's a philosophical dilemma I'm having, is do you use these tools to get what you want already, or Rolling Stones, right? Or forget about getting what you want. How about getting what you need, right? So let's take a look and see what getting what you need here looks like. So if you're just using build 1 instead of using the regular contest sims, you're actually getting a little more chalky. Here you're getting more, looks like Minnesota, Toronto, Texas. So it's a little bit different, which I kind of like. So we're going to actually, for the purpose of this slate, we're going to go with this one, because it's not like I had to tweak SaberSim all that much to get here. Like if I had to make like 1,000 adjustments to get the kind of stacks that I quote unquote want, then it's probably not the greatest idea. But if I didn't have to change all that much, and I'm still kind of styling here, we can let's just put name 1 in the championship right now, and then we'll save this, and then we'll be good. All right, so now what I'm going to do is CSV. I want to change these, and then I'll take some questions. All right. I only played 30. in the in the lottery here. Okay, so let me unshare my screen, and then we could talk about some other stuff. So the other thing is that the PGA is tomorrow, and what I would do for PGA, again, for those of you who didn't watch the video, or whatever, it really does to be a high variance tournament because of all the putt. It's good. So many putts need to be made because it's a pretty easy course. It's going to be difficult to do, but you got to really just kind of have some faith that the obvious plays are just not supposed to be played. You know, like all these guys that have been doing really well, like Rye and Straka and all this stuff. I mean, you could play them, but you got to really do your best to juice up your variance a little bit. I mean, I locked in like 15% exposure of like some really just high variance, no shot guys under 7K just to kind of juice it up a little bit. So let's talk about Kevin. Let's talk about the Cincy stack. You know, I thought about this for a while today. You know, is that should you always get a certain percentage, depending on how many lives you're playing, right? But should you always get a certain percentage of the stack against the most popular pitcher, or does it just depend? You know, like yesterday in the lottery, Utica won. He had a stack of the Rangers, you know, against what was a relatively popular Dylan Cease. The thing that made that one, and again, it's hard to believe that I'm not saying this just because it came in, but the reality is this is the way it works. Is that Texas does have itself a lot of upside, and Cease, when he's not working, I mean, he gives up home runs, he gives up walks, he does all that kind of stuff. So you have a you have a high variance, high upside pitcher, and a high variance, high upside team. So that makes a good pivot. As opposed to today, like, do you really want to play San Francisco against Sale? You know, like, yes, Sale can be volatile, but is San Francisco the type of team that can really take advantage of that? You know, unlike a Texas, you know, San Francisco is more a team that kind of turns the lineup over, you know, singles, doubles, whatever, and then they hit for those guys and like really annoy you. You know, I don't know if San Francisco is a good example of a team to use leverage with, but you take a team like Cincinnati. I mean, they can swing the bat, and they're in a good park. You know, so if Rodon continues to do what he's been doing, which is basically been serving up meatballs all season, pretty much. I mean, I think the Cincinnati stack is like better than the San Francisco stack. Now, the other obvious stacks that you can use are Minnesota, because you know, if Montero ends up being popular for Detroit, then you're going to want to get leverage against him as well. So Minnesota, you know, makes sense. Okay, D Pope. I'm playing 10 lines on FanDuel, early 4-gamer. I built 5,000 lines and ran my build using the new 5,000 lineups, thinking of Mintu and Riskar. Looks good to me. You know what I mean? Looks good to me. I have no philosophical or execution problem with that. You know, you're just gonna have to decide whether, you know, what you get matters to you. You know, and this is why I think pretty well in MMA. Is I build my lineup. I mean, I know who I like, but whatever. When I go through my 150 and I do a special video just on building the 150 max, I don't even look at who I have. I go through the process, I fire it, and then when the first fight locks, then I open it up and see who I have. Because I don't want to be I don't want my process to be biased by my biases. Okay. But baseball is different. You know, baseball, you don't want to have like stuff that makes no sense to you. Like if you have 95% San Francisco, you know, it just feels wrong, you know. So it's probably a good idea to see what that kind of rolls, that kind of looks like. All right, just I mean, just for example, let's take a look at exactly what you were talking about. Let's pull up a FanDuel, the 640 early only. Okay, so but we're not going to play it, so it even makes it easier to do. We're just going to use the SaberSim projections, and the first thing I would do is exactly what you said. You know, even if you're only playing 4 lineups, I mean, you need all 5,000 if you want to know the truth, but you know, it's no extra charge, right? No extra charge. the only question, again, I would have is what you are playing. You're 10 lineups in the early 4-gamer. Okay. So wait, so I made a mistake. So I put in 4 lineups, but I could always extend it to 10. So it's in the 4-gamer. So we'll run it pure. We'll run it both ways. We'll run it all 4 ways. And we'll see just use the SaberSim projections, you could get to. And then the different decisions you would make. So I presume the 4-gamer, 10 lineups. I presume we're talking about the lottery here. Probably a lot of people in it. So let's build 5,000. Yeah, may as well. All right, so let's see. Okay, now again, forget the projections. You know what I mean? Like we're just seeing the differences. So, all right, we're gonna build 10, right? So let's make these 10 instead. Okay. So without doing anything, you'd be getting, of those 10, you would use 3 pitchers. You would use Jared. Oh my God, it's a totally different site. You'd use Jared Jones, Fetty, and Mitchell Parker. And then as far as teams go, you'd have 100% White Sox and 80% Washington, right? That's if you did nothing. Okay. So let's see. I don't know. Let's use the sims here a little bit. So let's go to contest sim settings. We'll add a contest sim. We'll use the flagship MME again, and we'll call it MME just for whatever. We'll save the settings and we'll see what that one looks like. And we'll build that one first. And then we'll use, I just want to see the difference. So the first one was all the White Sox in Washington, right? So let's see how it changes. So we're looking at 3 things, right? Straight SaberSim, which was the White Sox in Washington. Then we're going to look at sims with with their stock lineups, and then we're going to look at the build 1 thing. So let's see. So sort by risk adjusted ROI. You'd still be getting like 100% White Sox, okay? But then Miami would be your next stack. So no matter what you're doing, it looks as though the White Sox is going to be the nuts here. I mean, not the nuts, but the recommended play. And as far as pitching goes, you'd be getting Fetty and Parker. So let's do the other one. Let's, instead of using flagship MME, let's use build 1 and see if that makes any difference. Let's try again. On contest sims. And which is kind of interesting. You're looking at the White Sox here. They have the lowest total on the whole slate. So is that surprising? I mean, probably not. I mean, I guess the Cleveland pitcher is either high owned or something. I don't know. So let's just take a look. Again, I really look at the slate at all. So when you look at it from using build 1, now your team stacks, you're actually totally different. Now you're getting the Cleveland. Okay, you're getting only 10% the White Sox. So again, you're in this conundrum. Right? You've done 3 completely reasonable builds, and you're getting 3 completely different results. Right? Actually, 2 of them are leveraging the White Sox, and 1 of them is leveraging Cleveland. So you know what you could do. I mean, if you want, you could just game stack the White Sox and Cleveland and get the best of both worlds. That's actually not the worst idea in the world. Just play all the Cleveland White Sox 4-4, rock the house, and away we go. And then the pitchers, you would use, I guess, Parker, and yeah. So if I were playing, which I am not, actually, you know what? We have 640. Is there anything I can? Let's see if there's anything I can do. Even it's probably not going to pay anything. It's probably the lower level. Let's see. Early only 640. So this is $2 for first. All right, so let's what do I have? I have 5 minutes. All right, we're going to reserve it out first. Okay, let's reserve. Okay, so now we have to up and coming. Let's set the lineup. So what did I say? White Sox and Cleveland. We'll put them both together. I think that makes some sense. So who do we play? my God, we have 5 minutes. Yikes. So let's cheat a little bit. Go back over here. We're gonna play one lineup. Boom. And then what we're gonna do is we are gonna play 100% White Sox, and then we're also gonna play 100% Cleveland. And let's see what it gives us. We'll also play 100% White Sox. What's up? 100% Cleveland. And it's not a 4-4 though. It's close enough. Let's see. Stack exposure. Let's go. It's not gonna be any 4-4s. Can we do 100%? Can we? It's gonna build in any one of them. Can I do it? There it is. So there is Jay Jones. Let's see. Let's use the what? 4 minutes? Plenty of time. Do this. Do this. Do this. Save to contests. Boom. Whoop. Hold on. Almost. Oh, what happened? Plenty of time still, right? Yep. 3 minutes. Boom. Boom. So this one I'm definitely a lock. All right. Hopefully some of that helped, and that will do it. Good luck, everybody. Later.